Hey ya folks, how's it going? My name is Lexi and I really like tabletop games. I like them so much that we get together once a week, every week, here at the gaming table, and we review one together. If that sounds interesting at all to you, I definitely encourage you to press subscribe and keep watching today's video. Before I jump into today's video, I have someone I would like to thank. Today's episode was made possible because someone reached out and offered. Today's episode was made possible because someone reached out to offer me a copy of a game to review. I am always deeply appreciative of this. It often means I get to review games that I might not have been able to otherwise. So I want to say a big thank you to Gabriel for getting in touch with me. Thank you so much. If you have a game that you've made and you would like to see it on the gaming table, you can reach out to me using the email address in the description box below. I do have a delay in between receiving games and getting a review out. I just happen to be very blessed that lots of people want to give me games to review. I also am a bit behind on my emails at the moment, so I'm desperately trying to catch up on them as soon as I can. Now, before I get any further into the video, I want to let you all know that today's game is not one that I consider to be young person or kid friendly at all. There are some graphic depictions of violence, body horror, psychological horror that go on in this game, among other explicit content. I would suggest if you happen to be in the room with a little one, perhaps skip this and come back to it, or potentially switching to a smaller device and using a pair of headphones. Don't stress if you're a fully grown adult and you don't feel like seeing some body horror. You can come back to this video whenever you want. I did make the very interesting decision to bring the book to work to read on my lunch break, and then the first thing I open to is an illustration of a fetus that looks like it's just been sacrificed and the umbilical cord's wrapped around a creature's finger, and I thought I probably had made a bad decision. With that acknowledgement, let's jump into Kult, Divinity Lost. The first edition of Kult appeared in the early 1990s with a Swedish publication. It eventually got an English language publication and it became the subject of a moral panic. This is one of the few franchises where I can kind of see where people were coming from. The first edition subjects were pretty dark, and I think this new edition does live up to the promise of being transgressive. I'm not interested in banning role-playing games that are too dark or telling people what they should and shouldn't play. I'm providing this history and context to, I suppose, communicate that this is a boundary-pushing game. Kult Divinity Lost takes place in a world similar to ours. Under the veneer of everyday life lies a darker one, filled with occult rituals and dark powers. Characters are categorized on a scale from asleep to awake, meaning they are unaware of the dark world lying underneath, to a perhaps knowledge or even involvement with it. Player characters are going to become more entangled in this dark hidden world as they search for what they want. What a person wants and what they need, be it power, information, safety, you name it, often comes with a dark price. I think the amount of knowledge a player should have of this world is entirely dependent on what type of character they're playing. An asleep character should probably know very little about the world, whereas an awake character has more detail. This need for secrecy does make reviewing this game a little bit difficult, as I don't think I want to share any more today about this game, lest I spoil something that would be really exciting to discover while playing. Character creation for this game typically begins by choosing an archetype to base your character around. There is the option to build your character completely from scratch, but there are 25 archetypes included in this game manual, so I think it would be likely you would find something that would help you start your character off. Some of these character concepts have seen through the facade of everyday life, and others are, at the start of the game, pretty unaware. After choosing an archetype, you get to choose some advantages and disadvantages, which can help and hinder your play experience. Some of the features included in this game manual are mental illnesses. Kult is a pretty transgressive game. it would be odd to me, almost like an elephant in the room, if mental illness didn't come into the gameplay in some manner or another. The manual itself explicitly states that the Game Master should strive for an air of mystery about the game's mechanics. Once again, I feel a little bit limited in what I can discuss with you today. I don't want to spoil the experience of eventually finding out why you were asked to roll your dice in that particular moment. I'll provide a basic summary. For most things in the game, you choose something you want to do, you roll 2d10s, add the result together, then apply a modifier. Rolling higher tends to be more helpful. I have seen the mechanics of this game described as being like Powered by the Apocalypse. I did have to squint a little, and that's when I realized, oh, it's rolling 2 dice together, adding the results, then applying a modifier. Yeah, that's kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse. The presentation of this game manual is just incredible. While the content of the artwork is certainly graphic, it tends to be artfully done. Perhaps the images included in the character archetype didn't excite me as much, but perhaps that's only because the other artworks throughout the book were so incredible that it's hard to compare anything to them. Kult Divinity Lost is for a pretty specific player. It's going to be a game where you're going to want to be willing to play with darker characters. I do think if you just enjoy suffering for suffering's sake, the point of this game would be lost on you though. This game has a lot to say, I think, about the human condition, and it would be important to be able to empathize or feel sympathy towards characters that are going through terrible, miserable things. It's not a game where the competition is to be as unpleasant as possible for the sake of upsetting your other players. You can get a copy of this manual starting around $50 US. It's certainly not a game for everyone, but I think if the manual appeals to you from what I've said, I would definitely be at least checking it out and seeing what you think. I don't think there's quite another horror game out there that quite matches what Kult Divinity Lost does. Kult has quite the colourful history. Do you think this game matches up to its reputation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. While you're there, I encourage you to like this video and perhaps share it with a friend who might enjoy it. While you're down in the comments, you also can subscribe and turn on notifications to find out when I release my next video. If you have made a game and you would like to see it on the gaming table, you can reach out to me using the email address in the description box below. I do apologize for my delay in replying to everyone and the delay in getting videos out. I do also have in the description box a link to my Ko-Fi page where you can donate to this channel. All donations towards this channel directly go back into the running costs of the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!